And we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to Pi Talks. I am your hostess, Arike, the Community Restoration Specialist. Along with me are the Butterflies, who are also two of them community restoration specialists and one in training. So we have Rajani, who is with us in our Georgia area. We have Ashley, who's with us in our San Antonio, Texas area. And we have Asia, who will be one of our steady virtual um, restoration specialists very soon. So, first and foremost, we want to thank y'all for taking your time and being with us again tonight. Excuse me. Um, Tonight, we're going to pick up a conversation that we actually started back in, I believe it was April. And so, excuse me. You have to excuse me. Whew. Okay. So of course I couldn't have did that 2 seconds ago before we went live, right? So my thoughts is choking up as soon as we got on air. I apologize for that. Um, I've actually been looking forward to this conversation because, believe it or not, like I said, we talked about this back in, I think it was right, April, a few months ago. And back then, we asked whether music simply reflects what's happening in our communities or whether it also helps shape what's happening. And at that time, it was more of a physical, oh Lord, one of these words. Physis, I can't say it. I can't say it.
Philosophical.
It's in my
Philosophical.
head. You know what I mean? It's in my head, but I'm like, I can't get out.
Philosophical.
Yes.
Philosophical.
Thank
Phil.
you. Thank you. All right. So that, no, Philip, like, it's stuck there in my head and it will not flip over. And so, thank God I learned how to edit. So we're going to hold on for 1 second. So at this time, at that time, it was more of a different conversation. And then this weekend happened. Young Miami's song Spend That was recognized as Song of the Summer. And India Aire shared that she found it disappointing. And almost immediately, social media split into two campaigns. One said, hey, it's just music. And the other one said, but music has power. And what interested me wasn't who was right, but how quickly we stopped having conversation and started defending positions. And that's one of the things that we work out and we're always talking about when you come into the pathway that we have to become a community restoration specialist, taking the uncomfortable conversations as sisters and learning to get past the uncomfortable comfortable parts so that the bonding can actually take place without jumping to defense, without jumping to sides. That's something that we as women um, have been doing since some of us grade school. And so, and you see it, people just like jumping to sides. So tonight, though, we're going to bring this conversation back up. It's not about attacking young Miami or trying to like put India on, I won't say a pedestal, but because honestly, I agree with her. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to talk about this profound the disappointment of how quickly our community as women split. how social media just bust into two different camps. And so I guess I want to ask what happens when entertainment becomes culture, and whether that makes, um, whether we think that that matters. And so I'm going to pass it on to Rashini.
Thank you, Miss Enrique. Good evening, everybody. So, for those who may not be caught up to speed about what even happened, what's going on, I want to kind of set the stage and bring everything right. So, um, apparently, this past weekend was the BET Awards, and Young Miami's song "Spend That" was deemed the song of the summer, and got a lot of people were dancing to her song as she was walking on stage or whatever. And so, um, the fact that it was deemed Song of the Summer, somebody made a comment to a post saying that she was calling for a boycott of the song, right? And whatever. But I'll share the screen for those. Um, and basically, India made a comment about how people aren't caring, right? Don't care, and your point about how quickly people are to pick a side, right? And just kind of start, being quick to divide versus actually like having conversations. People were saying that Young Miami was, I mean, excuse me, that India had called for a boycott, which she did not. People were trying to say how she was trying to keep another woman down, as someone who's been in the industry, which she had not. So, again, just kind of piggybacking and reinforcing what you're saying about um, how quickly people are to, right, jump in and create divides versus actually having conversations. Um, but for those who may not be informed, this is the comment that was said, right? The person was saying, I'm calling for a boycott because that they believe, actually, let me make the screen bigger because I can't read this. Um, and they believe it's degrading for the culture, that at some point we have to take seriously the power of music has over our perception and the values it reinforces. So, really, this person was saying what we were saying in our last conversation, right? And so India came in and said that she spent her entire adult life caring too much because I finally learned that not everybody cares with a capital C, and explaining it to them is not going to make them care, especially if everything you listen to, see, or eat is going to influence you. So make wise choices. So I'm reading it off of a smaller screen. So, um, but yeah, so that's what India said, and it caused a frenzy. You know, um, she also said, "I finally realized that not everybody wants to be free, and it is very, very, very rude awakening because the mass acceptance of this song is a crystal clear sign of this much bigger truth, right?" And so this is what, again, this is what was said, and then people began to react as if one, India said more than that. But also, let me stop sharing for a second for those who are not familiar, because can you guys see me? Oh, you can? Okay. My screen is black. I can't see you guys. But also for those who do not know, because I didn't know this until all this was going on, right? The first time I had experienced this song, it was on a hook for a reel, right? And I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. Again, we talked that too, right? And the chorus says "spend that," and I thought it was saying "spin" as in SPIN. So I thought it was talking about like dancing, right? So when all this came out, I went to look up the lyrics, And the course of the song says, "Where my scamming blank Negroes at? Spending that money fast, 20s, 50s, 100 cash. Boy, go in that go yard bag. Boosting females, where y'all at? Stuffing that stuff in y'all bag just to flip it, pop some tags. Girl, go in your go yard bag, spend that, right? So picking up the message, right? Of course, there's more in the verses, but just that's the hook. So that's what India is responding to, right? The disappointment in the fact that that song with that message is deemed the song of the summer and is getting all this praise and all this accolade. But good old social media, right? When we go to things that people were saying, and again, we're just going to kind of highlight and why pie is needed, and we're going to talk about how this ties back to pie, shortly. But when it says, one person says, "So just because I'm singing that means I'm stealing and scamming me, the girl that's scared of jail and don't have a ticket in her name, it's just a bop. That's all. The world is so serious right now. Just enjoy life." So life is serious is getting eased off by talking about, singing about, dancing about, scamming and boosting. Even, just my thoughts. These are just my thoughts. Why are you bothering us with this? We are not. I do not want a scammer, but I will sing the song all summer. And then meanwhile, there's a viral dance for Little Kim's song, Not Tonight. We can't pick and choose who to criticize. What about the song WAP? Just saying, you hating on Young Miami. So some people are trying to say that, India was actually like hating and trying to put Young Miami down, which again is not the point. But all these things are still what we were talking about when we had our first conversation. And then, excuse me, these are some of the comments in favor of, and then I'll pass it back to Ms. Enrique, where some people obviously, realize that music has always had an influence. While the hook is catchy, it's not a song that's going to have you think or act in a positive way. And I'll bypass these for now, but yeah, so that's kind of what's going on and what's happening in the media around music and the impact that it's having. So that's kind of the context of tonight's conversation.
Thank you so much. That was really great, Raj. Really good. Thank you so much for explaining that. Yeah, when I seen, because I follow India Aire, because y'all know that we definitely want to do some work with her one day, right? She's one of our go-to artists that's on our manifestation list of people that we're going to work with in the very near future. So I follow her pages, and so when I am on social media, um, her stuff comes through, and because this was so active, I suppose. That's how I found out about it. Then I asked Rajni, and so we were just like, weren't we just talking about this? Didn't we just have this conversation? I think it's a great time to run this back. Um, and not only that, but I'm gonna go. Not only that, was it a good reason to bring this back up? But those people that are saying, "Don't worry about it," I want to know when was the last time they went and spent some time in a high school or in a middle school? And are they watching or have they seen the behaviors of our girls who are in middle school and in high school? Because, see, today, we buried a 12-year-old baby girl today in my hometown and had to put the bullies out because they had the nerve to show up thinking that it was going to be okay and the family was going to be okay. with having some of the bullies there at the memorial. The things that I'm seeing, the things that these children are living through at such a young age, you have to start to think about it. I've heard my whole entire life, it's just music. But when I think about it, I've never believed music was just music, which is why I never liked listening to all that stuff about shooting and killing and cussing. I didn't like it because I knew music was powerful. So I agree unapologetically with India because the frequency of music is very powerful. That beat, once it gets into you, it lasts for generations like no other gateway. This is why people can learn and recall lyrics from their youth, but not remember the names of their family members when they're in an Alzheimer's unit. How do I know? Because I managed an Alzheimer's and dementia unit when I was in San Antonio, Texas. And they might not remember much, but you put the right music on. You put on Motown and you start to see them remember. Their faces change. They can remember lyrics. All the rest of their memory's gone away. Can't remember much, but they can remember that. They can recall. Same with children. How the soft tones of a mother or a father singing a lullaby to their child can get them to calm down, to relax, to fall asleep. Music is very powerful. This is why they play it in commercials. This is why they use it and why they're using it and been using it to shape our community for decades. Asia,
Yep.
I'll pass it
Thank
to
you
you.
for that. So I'm just gonna ask a few questions. Um, Instead of debating answers, let's just explore them, right? Um, so my first question is, why do people become emotionally attached to music? And I'll open the floor to anyone that wants to answer. I have my answer of my own, but I'll give you a lady to answer, and anyone in the comments or chat want to answer, you can answer as well.
I think that's personally, I think that's part of the power that music has, that it naturally does get kind of entwined into our spirits, and it often gets paired with an event or a person or a special occasion or a good time. And so when you have a good time and that's a high emotion, and you're singing, you're dancing, whatever the case may be, and you're with people that you like, whatever, there's an attachment to that. And you don't want it to, oftentimes, I think that we don't want it to be a bad thing, right? Because I'm having a good time. It's just a good time. It's just a bop. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with just bopping to a song. And so that would be my answer. And so naturally we want to defend the things that we do, right? Like that's just kind of human nature, right? To not and until we start to grow and not become, and take those accountabilities. So, but yeah, anyway, that's my answer.
For me, I would say that just as human beings, whether you think scientifically or spiritually, we all have a vibration built in us, right? And that music also has that vibration that we can feel, that we can connect to. People don't realize like how much energy, is in all these things. Like music can literally affect a part of the brain that is never used, and people don't even realize that. But we become attached to it because it's ingrained and embedded in us through that vibration. Like you can't help but to feel it. There's no getting away from it.
Absolutely. I said, say it's in our DNA. It's in our DNA. And we personally have always, I think every culture, right? There's something about the drum. There's something about the drum in every culture. And that beat. And I believe that was one of the powers that they understood quickly, which is why they took over the music industry. Because they realized the power in our music. And really, I mean, they had known, but when rap came along, they had to quickly change because it went from love music and soul brother and soul sister to like some real critical things. My generation start opening eyes to things. And when they realized that these young Black boys could move cities, you understand? The power of Biggie, the power of Tupac. And Tupac is spitting knowledge. KRS-One is spitting knowledge. When they realize, hold on a second. Because if it would have stayed in our hands, I can only imagine where our communities would be right now. Because I'll tell you what, yeah, there was some of that gang bang and all that stuff was in there. But it was actually the rappers, the conscious rappers that came back and said, hold on. Like, we here. You know what I mean? What's there to be mad about? Like let's upbeat and stop the violence and all that positivity stuff, and it just, they annihilated it. We don't own it. But music, absolutely, is it. Music, it has power. Because the music tells you to do something, you do it. Teach me how to Dougie, right? Teach me, right? Doing the butt. Shake that. That's what I was, you know what I'm saying? Now I was just twerking. Still the same thing.
Same
My
thing, just a
generation
new
was
name.
doing the butt. Hey,
Mhm.
shake that. And what were we doing? We were shaking our butts. Put your
Mhm.
back in motion and doing the butt, and it's telling you what to do.
Okay, everybody put their hands in the air.
You
Like you
know?
just don't care.
You
Like
know what I mean? It give you directions.
Ain't nothing
We,
changed.
we used to say, I get tired of going to concerts and they telling us what to do. You know what I'm saying? Everybody say ho, ho. Right? And your dress is to the window, to the wall. You know, it's just so you can't say that it doesn't have an influence. You cannot. If we are serious about it, it has an influence. It always has. It's very powerful. Asia, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish talking now.
No, it's okay. Thank you, ladies, for your answer. Um, to me, I think it's because music is tied to our emotions and our memories. Um, you can hear one song and instantly be taken back to a specific moment, like in your life. Like what Miss Enrique was doing, I was sitting here muted, just singing with her. Um, but music becomes part of our happiest moments, our hardest seasons, um, our first loves, our
Mhm.
heartbreaks, our
Yeah.
healing, and it doesn't just entertain us; it becomes part of our story, essentially. Um, so yes, um, moving on to my next question: um, can something be entertaining and still influence behavior?
Absolutely. Um, Something can actually absolutely be entertaining and influence behavior. I would say like certain comedians, over time have been entertaining and influential. Like even though not like, but Eddie Griffith, I know, is a comedian that again not someone I listen to or watch all the time, but really be saying some things. Um, we mentioned it before, Kid House Rock, or Schoolhouse Rock. My fault, Schoolhouse Rock. And as a child, that was influential and entertaining. And so, and those are on the positive because we're kind of talking about the negative, but those are on the positive side of things. And so, in the same way, you know, you pair up the right emotion with the right song, and you can have a bad situation. Bad. So, yeah.
I mean, you think about it, and those who have children, and I've seen these parents in town halls um, talking about the books and some of the things that these kids are being subjected to that is online, telling them to commit suicide, telling them to kill their parents, you know. So there's a lot going on in this world that they use it up. And with that, these are games, right? These are games. And what do you think's behind the games? Music, songs, right? To get in memory. I can't remember half the stuff that I do half the day, but put a song on from 1960 or 70s that I listened to with my mom and my dad, and I'll get to singing the lyrics, right? Okay. Let's go with the third one, and then so we can get going. So in our first segment, it's halfway. It's 7:30.
Okay. Um, the my last question is, are influence and responsibility the same thing?
It should be.
That's what I was thinking. It should be.
It should be, but
They are not the same thing,
yeah.
But
but
they're connected.
and I don't even say they should be, like, as a responsible person,
Right.
you should want your influence to be positive, be motivating. It should not be, tearing one person down or 20 people down. You know, it should be responsible. Unfortunately, in the world of influencers that we now live in, is just, for them, it's just all about the money. It doesn't matter what they will say and do anything,
Yeah.
whether it's music or movies or comedy they will literally say and do anything because they're trying to get a check, and that's
Yep.
all that matters.
Yep.
Yeah. And cycling their children through
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
You know, I just seen something earlier today about well, I don't want to name names, but one a very influential person, daughter whose name is a color, and she's a young girl, and they have pictures of her, and her face is all pierced, and she's all pierced up, and the article's like she just looks miserable. It's like her parents are just making her do these things, and we don't know what's really going on behind the scenes, but we do definitely see the history of many
Mhm.
of the children that
Celebrity.
whose parents are, yeah, either give them to be celebrity or, just the horror stories, and as long as it's for their money. And now it's not even just all celebrity. You can look on TikTok, and they have the whole controversy of the young girl. And again, I'm not gonna say no names. But she was around dancing, the little girl, and the people done called CPS on her mama, and whew. So it's not just celebrities, it's influencers as well, like you were
Mhm.
saying, Ashley. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, ladies, for your answers to the questions. I will move on to our next section, which is the difference between influence and blame. Um, I think sometimes we oversimplify these conversations. No one hears one song and it suddenly changes their entire life. Um, Humans are way more complicated and complex than that.
Hmm.
Um, but culture isn't built from one song. It's built from repetition. It's built from trends. It's what's celebrated, from what becomes normal. Um, so then I have to ask, when enough songs celebrate the same values over and over, does that eventually shape what young people see as normal?
Hmm.
Um, and to me personally, I think it absolutely can. Young people are constantly trying to figure out who they are and
Hmm.
where they fit in.
Hmm.
Um, and if they're repeatedly shown that money, status, violence, or unhealthy relationships are what makes someone successful
Yes.
or at least desirable, those meshes can slowly become part of their definition of quote unquote normal.
That's right.
Um, but that doesn't mean that every person will believe it, but I do think repeated exposure matters.
Hmm.
Absolutely, Asia. And
Yeah, that was outstanding. I love how you wrapped that up.
yes.
That yeah, that was good. How y'all do clock it? She clocked it.
Here, here. And um okay, I guess it'll come back to me, but um so I want to lead the conversation on what makes something the song of the summer. Okay, so there is more. This is where the conversation gets interesting because it's one thing for a song to become popular, right? It's another thing for the entire culture to
Right.
collectively celebrate it as the song of the summer, and the song is talking about boosting and scamming and all those wonderfully legal endeavors. Um, and so awards aren't just measuring popularity, they're also sending a message about what this moment values. And if I can go back really quickly to the point about, something being normalized and things that I was thinking about, one of the things that I saw online, and one of the comments, the guy was sharing a back and forth he and his friend was having. And he was like, oh, well, in our generation, they were millennials, from what I could tell, millennials, Gen X's. And we had Little Kim and Foxy Brown and this, that, and the other. So we can't judge the younger generation. And the friend was like, okay, well, let's look at the women who listen to those women predominantly. Where are they today? Like, what kind of life, or how did they kind of grow up? Because if we're talking about the younger generation and we think it doesn't matter, if we look at us or people that we know predominantly, and the numbers and the masses, and seeing how closely did they experience any of what they listened to? Again, of course, not everybody experienced everything, but just kind of as a case study to that
I
point.
want to caveat. I want to jump in on that real quick because again, that's my era.
Mhm.
So first, let me correct something. That was not the child is not a color. She's a direction.
Oh yeah.
We all knew who you was talking about.
Right, not a color, a direction. So let me first clarify that, right? But the difference is they were not the majority back then. Okay, Little Kim and what's the other one was Foxy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
They were not the majority. Okay, we had a variety of women to look at. We had Mary J. Blige, who was always fully dressed. Okay, TLC, they were still kind of the tomboy, but they sexed it up, made it a little sexier, But not only that, but even on TV, we had Claire Huxtable. You know what I'm saying? We had a different world that were children educated in college, that were talking about real life issues. We had even 221, and Jackie Harry, she was a little spicy, but we still had, mother, father, and you know what I'm saying? What was it? 227?
Girl,
Whatever
it
it
was
was.
227. Definitely wasn't 221.
Okay, all right. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I mean? So if it was a song, I bet y'all would have known what it was, right?
Right.
We even had the Jeffersons. And so we had Florence Jefferson. We had Diana Carroll. We had Black women that were actually showing us what Black women were. Today,
So
when you turn on I'm almost done. Today, when you turn on the TV, they're either all being cheated on, cheated, or it's something it's dysfunctional. And the music is dysfunctional. So if all the kids are seeing is dysfunction amongst women and toxicity, that's kind of why the community looks like it the way that it does. It's a whole bunch of things together. Ashley, you were going to say something?
yeah, I was gonna say, so back then, we had all of these different kinds of influences, and we still have that today. The problem is today, and I know we're going to get into this later, but it's the media. What the media wants to push forward, because we still have those positive influences. We still have those positive TV shows. We still have those positive rappers. We still have those positive, all kinds of musicians, everything.
Yeah.
But what gets put on the front line is not that.
And I think that's a great segue to jump right into where you're at for time's sake.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the parents and the community and the media, okay? Because this conversation that we're having, it's not entirely based on the artist, right?
Right.
The artists create, the labels they market, platforms they amplify, the awards they celebrate, parents influence, schools educate, communities reinforce. So everybody has a role in this, right? It's not just limited to the artist. We all have to take our part and ensure that we are doing our part to make sure we're pushing up the positive influences. Not just, and it doesn't have to be, you ain't got to be all over social media. Do that. You do that in your household, right? You have your young girls, your young boys. Make sure you turn on something positive for them. There's for every young Miami, there's three Gracie's Corners, but we forget about these things. We don't speak about these things. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm sickly. And I, like I said, that's the biggest thing is we got to make sure that we are sharing the positivity as well and not letting the media control it. Excuse me.
You all right? Need some water?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like all the way down.
Mm-hmm. Can you keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. So let's talk about what conversations should parents be having with our youngins.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant your part.
My part.
I'll answer this question kind of quickly. I think parents should help children understand that enjoying something doesn't mean accepting everything about it. Talk about lyrics, ask questions, help them think about the message that they're hearing instead of assuming they'll figure out on their own. It's less about controlling every song and more about teaching discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
I think parents should definitely be having conversations to really be more aware and mindful of what they're listening to. Of course, that requires the parents becoming aware first, there's that. But to learn themselves so that they can then teach their kids to be guards of their gates, right? Their ear, their eye gates, all those things.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rash. Thank you, Asia. So we'll go ahead and bring this segment to a close with looking at that middle ground. Okay. So social media loves extremes. We all know this, right? They're either going to have music that's destroying society altogether, or they're going to say it has absolutely no impact whatsoever. There's never that happy in between. But neither of these explanations feel complete to me. Maybe songs don't tell us what to do, but they do tell us what we're celebrating or when we're celebrating. And they definitely participate in how we create a celebration. Excuse me, sorry. When it comes to music and influence, the positive versus the negative, it doesn't impact me or it impacts me completely, where do you guys land?
For me, music, it absolutely, I embody it. So I have to be very careful
Mm-hmm.
what I listen to because seriously, it's such a powerful, beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we use it, I think the way that it was intended to be used to uplift and to empower, that it does exactly what it's supposed to do. you know. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Enrique.
Mm.
Rush, how do you feel?
I was definitely in the same vein. I definitely believe that music absolutely has an impact on us. It definitely um, programs that's conditioned us, even if we don't do the things to normalize the things, to make them more acceptable. And then the line continues to get pushed. So where do we stop? How long, how many generations do we go? Do we say, oh, it's just a song, and the songs continuously become more and more vulgar, more explicit, more whatever. So and then again, there's always kids coming up behind us. So absolutely, I believe that music is impactful.
Awesome. I agree wholeheartedly. I am a musician. Um, and I can get it in so many different ways. It could come from the beat, it could come from the lyrics, it could come from the melody. There's so many different ways to experience music, and I 100% believe it has so much influence on it. Like, music has changed my life in so many ways, so many different times. I've had to
Mhm.
go play a song to either get out of a mood or get into a
Yeah.
mood, or it's like, or you hear that song come on, and now you're all sad. You hear that song come on, and now you're ready to go turn up. You hear that song come on, and now you're ready to go praise and worship, like whatever it is. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely, takes over me 100%. So
yeah.
I agree that not only is music a big influence, but it creates everything.
Hmm.
Not just the culture, not just the education. Like, how many things did we learn from a song? We learned
Right,
our ABCs from a song.
right.
We learned animals from the song.
Yeah,
We learned, what I'm saying? So many things. Like,
yeah.
it's embedded in us. You cannot escape that. So anybody saying that music doesn't impact you is crazy.
Mhm. Yeah. We
Because it,
er, we learned them animal songs
yes.
with an oink oink here and an oink oink there, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
100%.
You
And to the
know,
same point, it's like how a song you don't even like will still cause you to dance. You don't even like the song, and you still find yourself like dancing to it, bopping to it, and it's like, oh my gosh! Like, to me, that's just like more evidence of the power that music does have, because it's so subconscious. It seeps
you
into
That's
know,
so crazy,
you.
because like 3-4 years ago, there was a song that was on repeat. I could not stand this song.
yeah,
It was on every radio station, every store you walked in, every video you turned on. This song was always playing. I could not stand that song. I love that song today.
right.
Just because I
Yeah,
kept playing it. I just got used to it.
yeah.
Yeah. Craziness.
It's the same with songs in a different language. You don't know what they're saying, but you will groove because you will feel it, and
I
you
know
don't
every
know
Selena
what
song there is.
don't know
I don't
what
know
they're
that one
saying.
word. Yes.
People don't. If you don't speak Spanish, if you hear a Spanish song loud enough, you don't even know what you're saying, but you'll be singing it certain parts of it. You know, we all know the one for Christmas, at least a little bit. Feliz Navidad. We at least know that part. Feliz
Exactly.
Navidad.
Exactly.
And that's about it. Los something
Feliz,
años
a prospero
felicidad,
años feliz.
you know what I'm saying? So, and why? Because repetition. Every Christmas you're gonna
Every
hear it,
Christmas you're gonna hear it. That's right.
So
Yes.
it is it's songs, it's powerful. They are. We have 8 minutes left. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump um right on to talking about pie. Okay. So, in this conversation, let's bring this back to what it is that we do and why we're here. sharing what we do every Monday night on Pi Talks and understanding that our mission has always been bigger than just, the headlines and trying to get people to come and follow us online, right? But we're here because we really believe in healing. We really believe in it's not, healing isn't just about recovering from the past, but it's also about becoming more intentional about what we're consuming, what we're celebrating. We're healing. I was talking about it today. Sometimes when you're finally starting to understand who you are, and you have to start to evaluate who you're talking to and who you're letting in your circle when you're really healing. And so it's moving past, I'm recovering from being hurt. It's moving past circles that we might have been in because we were too afraid to really be ourselves. It's about becoming intentional about who we are. And when we're becoming intentional about who we are, that means we become intentional about what we're consuming, about what we're participating in, what we're passing down and passing on, what we're modeling for the next generation. Because we know young people are constantly being shaped and formed by what they see. Yes, we talked about they have parents, but what happens if the parent's not yet where they're supposed to be? Yes, we have some teachers that will help. But from what I heard last week, some of these babies are so out of control, the teachers who don't get paid enough, which it should be one of the top paying jobs in the country, should be the teacher, considering they're the ones that have our children all those hours. You'd want them to be happy. But it's not, can't put it all on the teachers. And because the classrooms are getting worse, teachers, you see it, kids are flashing on teachers. And so it is this influence, but teachers are trying. But it takes a village. And that's why we are here. And that's why everything that we do comes from out of the community. It comes from out of our walk. It's not just my walk, but it's the walk of some of these young ladies here. And I was telling with Raj, it's not so much what we do. Really, there's a lot of people out there that have healing programs, that have helps, and we need them all. It's not so much what we do, but how we do it once you come into the circle. And that's what we want to bring into the community. So we do have some specials going on right now. You can go to our website at piepurifications.com. Even if you went last week, it's different. Even if you went 2 days ago, it's different. Why? Because we're building in real time. But guess what? It's where it needs to be right now, and we are very happy about that. And so we do have classes coming in August 1325. We have some mother-daughter deals coming up. We have some sister-to-sister deals coming up. And so Rajani and I were speaking about that this morning. We're just going to make the flyers for that. Raj, do we have the flyer that we made that we have right now for the 1325? I'm going to let Raj show you all this flyer, what we have going on right now. And this is for this August coming up. And we'll make the new ones where if you decide to come in with a sister, because we're about community, right? And so we're about building community. So we thought about it. So if you come in with a sister, you're going to get a discount. If you're a mother-daughter coming in, you're going to get a discount. If you are a caregiver and a caregiver with somebody, you can also get a discount to come on in. Although that you'll be coming in together, you will not be in class together, but you will be learning the same things together. So mothers will be with me, daughters will be with the butterflies. And so this is an awesome opportunity. We are credentialing as community restoration specialists when we are done, and then we will mobilize after that. So this is not just another, hey, come and we're just going to talk to you, but this is actually workforce development and workforce placement. And this is absolutely coming from the community, from our community, solely from our community, learning how to take your story, your lived experience, and coming back and building with inside of the four walls of our own communities. Bring in restoration. And that is why we are the community restoration specialist. And we look forward to speaking with you again next week. Again, I'm Raj. I'm Arike. We have Raj, Ashley, and Asia. And we will see you all next week. From our heart to yours. Thank you so much for being with us another week. See you later. Good night.